The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, all of you. Thanks for joining today's webinar. This is the first of the Kanini Connect series. We did have a few glitch in the attendee link. We got that sorted now. We should be starting within a minute. Thanks for all of you, for having waited, and another minute we should get going, guys. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Hope John, Karthik, can you all hear me?
You're good? Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever, depending on wherever you're joining from. Really appreciate your patience wading through this technical glitch. A lot of attendees are unable to join, and hopefully more and more people are joining in right now. Really appreciate your time for today. Karthik, can you show me the next slide, please? Next slide. Yeah, keep it there. Well, folks, in the last decade or so, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Babu Krishnasamy, President and CEO of Kanini. I'm today joined by two experts, Tom Patterson from ServiceNow, who is an account executive based in Nashville, and Shekhar, who is a technology head for Fidelity National Information Services. And so in a few minutes, they're going to do their presentation. Tom is going to talk about the trends in ITBM in the context of ServiceNow, and Shekhar is going to discuss the integrations with social media, especially how he leveraged ServiceNow in field service management by integrating, utilizing channels like WhatsApp and Telegram, along with this great platform, ServiceNow. I would like to give a little bit of introduction of where, what today's event is about. And you, all of you are in IT industry, and you've seen business organizations all over the world in the past decade or so adopting digital transformation in various forms, and especially in the last 5 months, this COVID has poured rocket fuel on that transformation, and it took it up several notches higher. In recent times, businesses want everything, whatever services they want that as a service, right? So anything and everything as a service. You have computing platforms, computing infrastructure, laptops, phones, software coding platforms. Heck, I mean, I even saw an advertisement last week for a T-shirt as a service. Go figure what that means. So anyway, all these transformations, businesses need things whenever they need and how much ever they need, right? So they don't want to build over capacity. They don't want to invest a lot of capital expenses. From accounting standpoint, it's easy to write off if they consume services 100% rather than capital expenses. So no longer people are attracted to big equipment purchases or license purchases. So everything is service. So that requires scalable infrastructure, scalable platforms, and so people are moving obviously to cloud and more cloud-based services and systems. And people in IT industry are no longer going to get paid for their efforts. More and more budget is going to be tied to the actual measurable outcomes, business outcomes. And also, if you think about customer acquisition for any business, for that matter, not only IT, any type of business organization, traditional sales and marketing, as we know, is either dead or on life support, right? You can no longer force or coerce prospects to buy stuff from you. The prospects are going to be intelligently needed to be influenced to make buy decision. They can no longer be sold anything to. And as you so that brings digital technologies, intelligent advertisements and positioning, and online positioning has become critically important. And again, a lot of cloud-based resources and systems are in play there. More and more, as you can see, physical activities, tasks are getting replaced by digital system, be it driving a car, truck, or flying a plane, or having a conversation with someone on the phone. All of those things are being rapidly replaced by digital systems. So in Kanini itself, we are playing with conversational AI, and that's one of the solutions that we offer as well. And traditionally, business processes in any business organization is managed, enforced, and managed by managers, and those business processes are intelligently getting replaced by digital platforms. And the need of the hour for any business now is not just any digital transformation, not just any automation, intelligent automation, and they want it now. They don't have patience to code, and that is very expensive and very buggy and leads to unpredictable results. Enter ServiceNow and Now Platform. I'm pretty excited. I've been in business for more than 22 years. I've been a programmer myself. I took pride in writing code from scratch, but that's no longer an option. And low code and no code platforms, intelligent automation platforms like ServiceNow were there before. Several companies attempted to do that, but I never seen a platform like ServiceNow so far. I'm pretty excited that it is, we are starting to replace business applications development. Instead of writing from scratch, we are now replacing them with implementing with ServiceNow with little or no effort. So I'm really excited to be part of this journey with ServiceNow. We are a very proud partner of ServiceNow, and without further ado, I would like to introduce Tom Patterson to talk about trends in ITBM. Tom has been in Nashville, is a native of Middle Tennessee, has 3 wonderful children, and he has been in the industry for more than 20 years. And pretty much majority of it, I think, Tom, it's right to say that he has dedicated his time to software platforms in service management area and in government and healthcare space. Tom, mic is yours, man.
Thank you, Babu. I really appreciate the introduction. I'm humbled to be here with you and all of the customers here on the webinar. I have been in this space for quite a long time. I actually was brought in probably 15 years ago by the thought of great service and great service experiences. Now, back then, most people were shaking their head and saying, hey, stay.
Can others hear Tom, or is it just me?
Yeah, I'm not able to hear Babu.
Hello?
Yeah, Tom, we are able to hear you now.
Wonderful. All right. So, all right, I'll start over real quick. So it's great to be here with you, everyone. Thank you very much for the introduction, Babu. I have been in this industry for quite a while, came from the engineering and security space, and really was passionate about service then and focused on the process side of creating a wonderful experience for the customer. So with that, next slide, please. I want to go ahead and jump right in. If you're familiar with ServiceNow, you realize that what we've done is we've created that great service experience and taken it from just the IT straight into all of the business layers. I think most of us, if you've been here long enough, know that once we created a wonderful experience in IT, there was a lot of other areas within the business that would come over, tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, can you do that for us? Well, in order to create wonderful change and disrupt a lot of the areas of the business, you really need a great project team, right? So ITBM is really what ServiceNow has brought to bear on the project management space. This is a wonderful way to get the entire business to understand what digital transformation can really do for them. I think that Bill McDermott, our new CEO, if you haven't listened to Bill, I would highly suggest you go out and listen to him, because he is just a passionate servant leader. But he says that digital transformation is the opportunity of our generation. If you look around, you see it happening every day. I would suggest all of us don't sit idly by and let it pass us. We need to get in there and disrupt ourselves and our businesses. If you look at COVID, as Babu mentioned, lots of your technology leaders over the past 6 months have done just that. They've leaned in, they've taken to the challenge and reinvented themselves many times, several times over the past few months, in order to make sure that their customers understand that they're there, they're present, and they're ready to help, whether that is helping in a traditional sense or helping in some new and exciting way. With ITBM, I think that it is a framework that you can get familiar with, as long as you don't fall into some of those bad practices that we see time and again. I don't think anything on this screen is surprising to most folks. If you've ever been in a project, you know how you can be drug into some details that end up slowing things down. If you don't understand the outcomes that leadership really wants to get after in order to make this change, you can get caught in the weeds a lot of times. So when you look at this bad practice list here, I certainly don't want to go through the entire list, but pushing off reporting, I think, is one of those things that we fall into quite a bit. Many times they're not in the requirements, but if you don't have your outcomes set from the beginning and don't report on those outcomes, it's really hard to set your course clearly and make sure that everyone that is involved understands what you're getting after. Next slide, please. I think that the next slide will show how best practices really, which is what we're all after, can really be followed. I'm sorry, can we jump to the next slide? There we go. So some of the guiding principles, I think a crawl, walk, run approach to any project is highly successful. When we were bringing many of our largest customers recently, Zoom and Disney Plus, JP Morgan, they've all had one theme, which is get us live, and get us live as close to out of the box as you can. Many of these had very, very short windows that they wanted to deliver the product, and then allow their employees and the customers to tell them about that experience, what they would want to improve, how they could make it better. But I think that if you are looking at any project, you've got the technical aspects of the project as well as the organizational change that comes with it. And getting live quick and then allowing those folks to buy in along the journey as you mature that process is always a wonderful way to use both your technical outcomes and capabilities that you'd like to grow, as well as the organizational change, and allowing folks to be a part of that journey is just so much better when you think of the success. Also, a lot of times I think that these are the things, the challenges that make a go live so hard. So communicating with everyone, having that constant drumbeat of what's next. Getting input will always make for a better relationship with your customers, a better experience. And really, at the end of the day, that's what we want, right? When you think of all of the great things that we have at home, our Uber, our Amazon, all of these other things, they're constantly communicating with you. And so why should we do that any different in the workplace? We want to make sure that people feel like they're a part of this. The other thing too is to make sure that you partner, whether it's with your partners such as Kanini or with ServiceNow. We're here to help. We don't have service in our name without trying to emulate a great service. So involve us as much as possible, involve your partners as much as possible. All of our success is your success. On the next slide here, really what I want to do, and this one we'll need to go ahead and build out, but really you have to have a roadmap, right? And so think about your recipe to getting there. Collect all of your demands, make sure that your foundational elements are solid and accurate. Health in the data is always going to be important before you decide to automate. So going in a circular approach, delivering, reviewing that delivery and make sure that it's accurate, and then delivering another chunk of your overall process is the way to drive both your measurements to make sure you're staying on the right path, but also to review and make sure that what you've done so far is going to be able to be automated as we move forward. This is going to create velocity for you. It's also going to make sure that everybody understands that this is a path that we're going to stay on. If you deliver and then you run to the next project, people kind of often wonder if this was something that the company was committed to. So making sure that we have that life cycle approach, that we always analyze and then go for the next stages of our project or program, as ServiceNow often is very, very important to the success that you'll see. ServiceNow does come out with 2 releases every year. For many of you that are customers, you know that. For prospects, this is something that a lot of times I think is challenging, or maybe intimidating is a better word, for lots of folks before they jump in as a customer. What you'll realize is that these are built twice a year so that you can take advantage of small chunks, much like we're talking about here with your projects, and that people are constantly being involved in the new capabilities, what ServiceNow can deliver for them, but also what's next on their journey. We put all of this online so that you understand when the dates will be.
We lost you, Tom.
Are the successful pieces of this project that the company has asked for us to deliver this year? And we usually backtrack that all the way up to the highest levels, whether that be a board of director, our C-levels, or even company goals that have been set years in advance. So typically this is to do with growth of the company, consolidation, or trimming some of the cost out of running the company and ensuring that we're efficient. Typically, that would be to the left-hand side when we think of the vision. Our strategies would be also how we're getting there. Many times this wouldn't necessarily involve a technology as much as the outcomes that the company would like in order for them to have overall success with their customers. Finally, we would insert technologies and make sure that they map to those same goals. What this is going to do is help make sure that all of the folks that are working on our project can understand those outcomes so that they don't get caught in a lot of the weeds that can bog projects down, but also gives us all something to rally around while we're getting this project completed. Oftentimes, this also helps within the brainstorming efforts that we would have within the project group so that we all are looking at the same prize. I would highly suggest, and we will be sending out all of the slides from this presentation, that you guys try this as a quick effort at your company to see how you can map out some of the ongoing projects that you have going today. Next slide, please. On that roadmap, typically a lot of folks will have going to do month to month or quarter to quarter, but I believe by the way, on
Tom, your mic seems to be acting off again. It should be good now.
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I apologize. Can we advance to the next slide? So we've talked quite a bit about the IT business management suite. I think that the details of this suite are just vast. When you think of going from typically the core that most folks think of within project management of your projects, and those projects rolling into programs, and then ultimately rolling into your portfolio. But if you look at the beginnings of that, starting with understanding our capabilities of the company, any of the ideas that are coming in, both to improve existing capabilities as well as provide the company with new capabilities or more mature capabilities. That can then help us guide with our financial. Then after we've got our portfolio mapped out, we also want to think about the running of that of the entire project, and portfolio management is essential these days for both velocity as well as flexibility, so that we all understand what are the limitations of each of the groups and where are the blockers. How can we eliminate those as great PMs for the project? But when you think about even further into the future, the success really of that project is determined when it is operationalized. IT service management from ServiceNow is within that same platform. And this is typically where we would then go for our KPIs to follow up on these projects to make sure that we are getting the results that we expected through the operationalization of that project, and then bringing that back to the portfolio for improvements. Next slide, please. So I think this is a great way to see that machine in action. When you think of all of the different groups within the company, the enterprise, that can submit ideas, those ideas would be vetted within our demand application. And this is an area that I think a quote from Abraham Lincoln was that if I had 4 hours to cut down a tree, I'd spend 3 hours sharpening the axe. This is where you can sharpen the axe before the real money is spent on that project. So I highly suggest, at least if you are implementing project and portfolio, that you consider adding in your demand management to these efforts, so that you can really scrutinize what is the best ROI for the company, and how do we want to prioritize our resources and our budget to get there. Now, when we look at the far right-hand side, we see, as we decide whether it's waterfall or agile or a hybrid of the two that we will create and release our project through, We then have change management and release to lean on within the ITSM space as we run the business and consider the success of our projects. But these are very well connected. So those vital 90 days, 120 days when a project is initially released, these go hand in hand, and you love having them in the same platform. When those tickets start coming in and you wonder, should the help desk have some knowledge base articles perhaps to handle these? Should this be run through the project team again to finish up a few of those items that we weren't able to complete? Or do we already have these intended in our phase 2 of a project? Therefore, we can keep people from panicking as we get that next release done. This is what we call a wonderful experience when you think of the life cycle of project growth for the business, release into our operational environments, and then the experience and the feedback loop that we would expect from our customers, whether they be employees or customers of the company. Next slide, please. So on that maturity phase, I think we had already mentioned the crawl, walk, run is really the way to go. How do we know what phase we're in? This is, again, a wonderful slide to kind of test where you're at. Don't worry if some of these are gaps within the stage 1, stage 2. This is quite flexible, but it does give you a way to stick your thumb in the air and say, hey, where am I if I were to cut over to ServiceNow? How long would it take me to get there? How much benefit could I get in the maturity that our company is in today? Could we go ahead and build this all the way out? There we go. Thank you. And so you'll see that a lot of companies are within that stage 1, stage 2, where they may have a mixture of unstructured work, obviously lots of processes, even whether that is unstructured work or not, should be typically in effect. It could be all in our heads, some of that tribal knowledge. But ultimately, what we want to do is we want to tackle all of that, get leadership to tell us what KPIs on their outcomes we need to look at, and then move forward, disrupting what we know today and transforming digitally what the process should be tomorrow. Again, I say it is extremely important to hear everyone out, but to understand the outcomes that our leadership wants going into the future. I think that all of the things that we're doing today, just by the means of a project, will be disrupted as we move to change what the company is doing into a more forward state. But keep in mind that all of those folks probably have valid things to say. It's just a matter of how much of that should be crammed into a stage 1, stage 2, or a phase 1, phase 2 of your project versus maybe taken into consideration after a go live initially. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. So make sure that you release and you get a wide swath of communication back before making any sudden changes to the outcomes that you've agreed on with leadership. Next stage, please, or next slide, please. This is a few examples of the dashboards that we have within ServiceNow. And I chose dashboards specifically because if we're going to make changes and go to these transformative processes, I think we need a way to show
Tom, mic check again, please.
in order to reach our goals and manage our budget and resources effectively. Next slide, please. This is a quick view into the PMO dashboard, which I think would help make sure that the pipeline from ideation to release is always running effectively and that there's no roadblocks in any of the stages. Next slide. And finally, this is a copy of our portfolio workbench. This is, I think, what you would typically see a Gantt chart for a project. This aggregates all of our projects across the portfolio in that same way so that we can understand any collisions, any roadblocks that one project may have for another when dealing with programs. And then also, again, ensuring that our pipeline is not disrupted. With that, I do apologize for some of the in and out from the audio on my presentation, but I would like to go ahead and open the floor for any questions.
If you have any questions, please raise your hand, and you can put your questions on the chat. We have a short poll here, followed by Babu and Shaker, and we'll have a full 15-minute Q&A session. So on your screen, you're probably seeing a poll there, asking if you're looking for ITBM solution in your organization. You can, pretty much look at next 6 months as the, timeline in case that's holding you back. Yeah, Karthik, can we now close the poll? Can move on to Babu?
Tom, thanks so much. That was very insightful, and that reminded me, in implementing great software starts with really good codification of what you want to do and how you want to do it. So a lot of your slides actually reminded me that we should not be automating inefficiencies, we should be automating efficient processes. So if the process itself is not efficient, then you're not going to gain anything from automation. I really appreciate your presentation. I learned a lot today as well. So Karthik, go to the next slide. And so I want to keep it very short because we don't have much of time. Just an introduction to Kanini. Today is not about learning about Kanini, but about learning about ServiceNow. But been in business 2003. 250 plus employees globally, been an active player in digital 2.0 transformation for many years now. We offer flexible engagement models with secure development service both in US, Nashville, and India, China. We're very proud of our key performance indicators there, our customer rating, on-time delivery, and client preferenceability. Next slide, please. Next slide. So these are a few areas that we participate in cloud enablement, whether it is lift and shift, strategy roadmap, or developing applications natively. Analytics and AI, a lot of businesses are still in analytics space. As Tom was mentioning, unless you codify your process, unless you document your data practices, you can't really go to AI. That is the last stage. So we see a lot of businesses are in the initial stages now, but we are well positioned to go to AI. ServiceNow solutions, intelligent automation, product engineering, Internet of Things, so on and so forth. And we play in various industries, professional services, audit services, healthcare, government, energy and utilities, to name a few. Next slide. Next, please, Karthik. So I would like to really welcome and introduce Shaker. Shaker has done some neat stuff with the ServiceNow. He was part of a project for field service management, and they've used some innovative approaches integrating that with social media like WhatsApp and Telegram. And he's a head of technology at Fidelity Information Systems. is a assurance automation expert. Shekhar, take it from here, please.
Yeah, sure. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Thanks, and thanks for the introduction. So basically, I'm having a 26 plus years experience in telecom industry. Basically, I started my career as a telecom service assurance service delivery guy, and I started focusing on automations. And 4+ year experience in ServiceNow architecture, in particularly when I was with a telecom service provider, leading telecom service provider. So I have done 3 remedy instances migration to a single service of instances, that too within a short frame of 6 to 9 months time. And my strength areas were proactive monitoring and fault isolation and all those things actually. So when I was with that telecom, next slide please, when I was there in that particular telecom service provider, once we achieved certain automations, we felt that we need to focus on customer engagement. We had our own portal, email, ticketing, and everything we achieved, but still we felt that millennial customers are more using social media like WhatsApp, Telegram, and other medias, Slack, and all this. So why can't we give them an opportunity to interact with our service assurance guys using those platforms which they are using day in, day out? That's where the thought process started. And using WhatsApp, Telegram, and others like Slack, we allowed them to open incidents, or we integrated those things with the CSM portal or CSM of ServiceNow. So once we integrated with CSM, we were able to give them access to the complete service inventory, what they want, and then they were able to open incidents as well as get update about their incidents. In addition to that, they were able to escalate their incidents and resolve and accept resolution, reject resolution, whatever is possible using CSM. Everything we were able to give them through WhatsApp and Telegram. So the main focus was giving more options to the customer to communicate with the service provider. So it was primarily driven as a customer engagement initiative as well as an innovative initiative, which resulted in a very good CSAT score as well as NPS score actually. So that is what this particularly initiative was driven as a customer engagement or customer self-service engagement initiatives, and we definitely achieved a very good adoption using these social media channels. The advantage was if the email or if we are asking them to use the portal, or if we are asking them to use say portal or some dedicated applications, it was not having that kind of a personal touch, whereas this WhatsApp, Telegram integrations were able to give such kind of a immediate response for that user using the tool which they are using day in, day out. And it was well adopted, and we started having a very good adoption. By the time I moved from telecom industry to banking, I joined a banking service provider, a solution provider, FIS, in the month of February. And when I joined, immediately COVID started, and we started, the team started working from home. And particularly when there is a major incident happening, or so there is an infrastructure problem, communicating with the person who is going to look into that kind of an infrastructure was a challenge actually, because they were working from home. Earlier there was an informal channel available because everyone was working in a room, and they were able to chat informally within the same room or next persons, but those kind of information channels were not available. And sending an email notification, they might miss the email notification, and those who are working at night from home might have their own issues, and then alerting them was also a major challenge. That's where we thought that why can't we use this social media which they're always on or they're having in their hand, and then we integrated ServiceNow with social media like Telegram or Teams, which MS Office team, as well as we built a plugin for Chrome as well as Firefox. The advantage what we found is that we were able to do these things very quickly, maybe within a week or so. For example, this Chrome and Firefox plugin, what you are seeing right now, we were able to turn around it within a week, and it immediately alerts the incident manager who is working from home that there is a new incident or escalation is there, and with an audio alert and all those things. And it directly reduced the overall first response time as well as first response time. When the COVID started, definitely we had some slippage on the first response and picking up the ticket. Once this plugin and Telegram and all those things were enabled, we came back to BAU. There was never a miss of picking up these tickets. That's what we achieved. And it was also well received by our own internal teams. So the first project where I was working with telecom provider, it was primarily for the end customer, to enable the end customer, whereas here it was to enable the internal users to be more proactive actually. Two different goals, and with the same kind of an approach with a different twist, we were able to achieve the end goal of both the organizations actually. And if you are really interested in this particular one, that Chrome or Firefox plugin, so it is available already in GitHub, because it was also done as an emergency, and I thought that it will also help other organizations who are having similar problems. So it's also available in GitHub as an open source. You can download and start using it actually. So there is a GitHub link is also available for the same. Any question or anything actually? Sure.
Shekhar, thank you for giving us the two implementations that you've done on social media. The first one on improving customer experience by integrating with Telegram and WhatsApp, and the second one how you used it in the COVID scenario for IT incident management to notify customers. Question here, folks: how many of you have had any integrations to Teams or WhatsApp? Do you believe this is providing a better IT experience for your employees or for all stakeholders? Yeah, so while we do that, we open it for Q&A, and we will kind of take the questions that you have put in your chat platform. Or Karthik, do the attendees have the option of raising their hands and asking questions as well?
The attendees can type in your questions here, and we should be able to pick that up and answer.
Shekhar, I have a question for you myself. So how was your the reception for using this kind of service? Did you see usability of the solution increased, or adaptation of your solution increased after you integrated with the social media platforms among your employees and resources? Can you talk more about that? Because a lot of times adaptation of of technology by users is a significant problem in big enterprises.
Okay, sure. First, when in the first organization, the telecom organization, both WhatsApp and Telegram we rolled out, but WhatsApp was adopted a lot compared to Telegram. But WhatsApp had its own challenge because WhatsApp does not have, it's only pure text based. That means everything is based on NLP and predicting what their intent is. So, but WhatsApp was adopted a lot, whereas Telegram had a lot of functionalities with button and all those things. When it comes to internal IT users in the current organization, it was the situation which forced them to adopt it because it was a need of an hour for each and every one. So that is the reason, particularly the plugin which I was showing that Google Chrome and Firefox. It was within a few days everyone installed and they themselves started using it. And it is, as it was having an audio wallet also, so it was definitely adapted. Whereas MS Teams had its own challenge because we were not able to delete the messages. So it was also having its own issues because like your email alerts, it started pumping a lot of messages, means then users started ignoring it. So that's where we again look back at Telegram, because Telegram is having an option of deleting the already sent messages. So that's where the Telegram was much more useful because they will only see the latest message and the incident which they need to look into it. So that's where it was getting used much better compared to Teams because of unable to delete the message which was already delivered.
Oh, thank you. Next. Next question, again, my question to Tom. Tom, can you talk about where you see ServiceNow as a company is focusing on at the moment? I know you know ServiceNow has automated workflows, easily configurable in a lot of different areas in ITBM. You brought up demand management, for example. I'm trying to understand strategic initiatives in Now platform and what is your vision on improving Now platform and in what areas? I see ServiceNow as a development platform as well, in addition to configurable workflow solution. Can you talk a little bit to that? Guess Tom is having some mic issues again, isn't it?
Hi, Babu. Thank you for the question. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Wonderful. I appreciate the question. So ServiceNow has a couple of different areas that we're going really leaning in on. First, for the breadth of the space, as a platform, we still have some areas of the business that we want to mature in, such as legal and finance, and many of the areas that we're already in, we are now going in to make sure that the supporting applications that come with some of these products, such as ITBM, are maturing as well, right? And so that's how we're going to maintain our leadership in the space. But more importantly, we've started making sure that we can meet our customers in their industry. So we have branched out to ensure that we align vertically with all of these industries. That includes telco, healthcare, banking and finance, and many, many other areas, manufacturing. So similar to Kanini's philosophy now of making sure that you have experts not only in the ServiceNow technologies, but also in the industries that we're there to serve.
Wonderful, thank you. John, do you have any questions from attendees? If not, we can close this up. It's already 12 minutes past the time.
Yeah, I think there are no other questions that's come from attendees. Just before we wrap, one final poll for all of you. Do you believe program managers in the IT industry spend a lot of time with their documentation and follow-ups. So, do click yes, no, this is more in the space of governance, risk and compliance that PMOs, typically manage. So folks love to hear from you on this as well. On that note, I want to thank all of you who took the time to spend this evening or this morning, with us to discuss on the ITBM trends that Tom, did give us an insight on, as well as the social media integrations that Shaker gave a peek into. Tom and Tom, Shaker, and Babu, thanks again for your time as well. Thanks all of you. We call it a wrap now.
Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thanks.